Hi, I'm Matt Bloomstead, the Commissioner of Education for the state of Nebraska and the current president of CCSSO. I get to introduce the Distinguished Service Award and give you a little bit of background on that. The Council's highest honor has been presented for over a period of 61 years. The award recognizes individuals whose contributions have given strength to pre-K-12 education across the United States. And with this premier honor, the Council, we seek to recognize extensive service to improving public education. The Council presents this award annually to an individual or individuals outside its current membership whose contributions to strengthen education merit such recognition. The Board of Directors for the Council of Chief State School Officers selects the recipient, and previous winners include Senator Edward Kennedy, Bill and Melinda Gates, Marian Wright Edelman, and the congressional architects of the Every Student Succeeds Act. It's really my honor now to be able to turn this over to my colleague and friend, Christina Kishimoto from Hawaii, to introduce and recognize the honoree that we have this year.
It is my great honor and pleasure to speak to the incredible work of our 2021 Distinguished Service Award honoree, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who dedicated her life to defending the rights of all students and fought tirelessly for equal rights for women, particularly in employment settings and as mothers. Justice Ginsburg served 27 years as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States from 1993 to 2020. She was the second woman to serve on the High Court, the first being Sandra Day O'Connor. Together, these two women, very different in style and perspectives, did not allow either barriers nor mockery to faze them. I encourage you to read Sisters-in-Law, a book by Linda Hirschman that speaks about the relationship between these two significant women of the Supreme Court. Justice Ginsburg was born Joan Ruth Bader on March 15, 1933 in Brooklyn, New York. She went on to graduate first in her class from Columbia Law School in 1959. We were both New York girls and Columbia University graduates. Despite an outstanding academic record, Ginsburg encountered gender discrimination while seeking employment after graduation. Think about that. First in her class at Columbia Law School, and the fact that she was born a woman made her less than in the eyes of leading law firms. This personal experience with gender discrimination shaped her career and reinvigorated her passion for matters of equity under the law. During the 1970s, she served as the director of the Women's Rights Project of the ACLU, for which she argued 6 landmark cases on gender equality before the U.S. Supreme Court. Ginsburg had a lasting impact on the ACLU as well. When she joined them, the ACLU was still white, male-dominant, and they were challenged by a group of women attorneys who pulled together to force this organization to prioritize the Equal Rights Amendment. It was through this work that Ginsburg realized that American law assumed that women were different from men. In other words, gender discrimination was baked right into our laws. On the Supreme Court, Justice Ginsburg authored strongly worded dissents, including her dissents in the Gonzalez versus Carhart and Ledbetter versus Goodyear Tires cases, both of which concerned women's rights. She also wrote the dissent for Bush versus Gore, in which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against a recount in Florida during the 2000 presidential election. On the education front, Justice Ginsburg argued forcefully for gender equity in classrooms, for desegregation in schools, and for the rights of students at all levels of education. Her first opinion on an education-related case was Missouri versus Jenkins, where she dissented from a decision that overturned a desegregation plan for Kansas City, Missouri. She would go on to rule in a number of cases to allow race to be considered in college admissions, aiding generations of students of color to finally have access. In 1996, Ginsburg wrote the Supreme Court's landmark decision in United States versus Virginia, which held that the state-supported Virginia Military Institute could not refuse to admit women. Justice Ginsburg held a core belief that is reflected in all of her legal work. She stated, "Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. It shouldn't be that women are the exceptions." In 2002, Justice Ginsburg was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame for her distinguished work. At the age of 82, Justice Ginsburg became a social media icon when she was called the Notorious RBG after another famous Brooklynite, the rapper the Notorious B.I.G. It just goes to show that Justice Ginsburg touched multiple generations. With deep passion, lots of humor, and a great appreciation for the worth of people, Justice Ginsburg moved our nation an important step forward in the law. In 2016, she released My Own Words, a New York Times bestseller memoir filled with her writings that date as far back as her junior high school years. I think she wanted to be sure and reiterate that she can speak for herself. After being appointed to the bench, Justice Ginsburg endured several health challenges, undergoing surgery for colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, and lung cancer. She died on September 18, 2020, at her home in Washington, D.C., from complications of metastatic pancreatic cancer. Justice Ginsburg laid in state in the U.S. Capitol on September 25th, the first woman and the second Supreme Court justice to have this honor. Even in death, she broke through barriers. The CCSSO board selected Justice Ginsburg as this year's honoree in recognition of her lifelong advocacy for gender equality and equal access to education and the workplace. She broke barriers that seemed unthinkable and unmovable at the time and taught us what it means to be a true champion for social justice. We are committed to honoring Justice Ginsburg's inspirational legacy by continuing to step forward and fight for equality for all students, all women, all people.
We wanted to come here to the Supreme Court tonight, where thousands have visited to place flowers and reflect on the legacy of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She may have been soft-spoken, but the legacy of her voice was powerful. So tonight, Justice Ginsburg's story of perseverance in her own words.
My mother told me to be a lady, and for her that meant be your own person, be independent. I had 3 strikes against me. 1, I was Jewish. 2, I was a woman, but the killer was I was the mother of a 4-year-old child.
Justice Ginsburg, will you raise your right hand and repeat after me?
I see my advocacy as part of an effort
that I will support and defend
to make the equality principle everything the founders would have wanted it to be if they weren't held back by the society in which they live.
So help me God.
Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. People ask me, when would you be satisfied with the number of women on the court? When there are 9. I will do this job as long as I feel that I can do it full steam. If you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself. That's what I think a meaningful life is. One lives not just for oneself, but for one's community.